Hello, hello. Welcome to episode 59 of Wise Wednesdays with RK. And my name is Rukhaya Khan. I come from the world of words. I've been a media person for the last 20 years and have segued into personal development and self mastery space. The conversation today is exactly about self mastery. It's about those days where we feel like we aren't quite there yet, or we are getting there, yet we are doubting ourselves. We are feeling like an imposter. And who better to have this conversation with other than Lynette, who is an imposter syndrome coach at Elite Transition. So without further ado, I bring to you Lynette.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Yes, thank you for joining us. And thank you, Lynette, for saying yes. And before we get into the conversation, if it's okay with you, and for the purpose of letting the people watching us know how Wise Wednesday started, what's the intention behind it, would it be okay if you played a tiny little video and just kind of get the ball rolling?
Yeah.
Let's do it then. Wise
Okay.
Wednesdays started on April 1st with a humble episode on forgiveness. Between then and now, we've had heart led conversations on happiness, stress management, relationships, resilience, public speaking, respecting boundaries, self discovery, mindset, just being, listening, reclaiming your life, intuition, and even food. I would like to thank all my listeners and the guests who gave me their time and trust. It is because of you that we kept going. It is because of you that we kept growing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so, so much.
I
So
feel like I'm
thank
in
you.
great company now.
Oh, yes, you are. So thank you for saying yes for the invite and being on the show and sharing with us about your journey and about coaching and all that you do, all the amazing work that you do, Lynette.
Thank you for having me. It's very exciting.
Thank you. So when you picked imposter syndrome as the topic that you would work on as a coach, what led you to that?
Um, Basically, my past led me to it, really. And I'll go into probably a little bit more detail as we chat through today. But that was what sort of got me started. I think I'm a natural people person as well. So um, I'm also a trained counsellor as well as a trained coach. And just from my personal experience, I thought these are the people that I want to help. These are the struggles in life that I feel that I've got the professional and personal knowledge to support people to work through.
Hmm. And when you say it was your past that led you to it, tell us a little bit more about that.
Okay, so there's a lot. So I hope you're all ready for this. So when I was born, I nearly died. I had a reaction to milk, and that sort of led me through childhood, really having these different health problems. It turned out I was allergic to most of what I ate and drank, which when you're in school and you're throwing up in the middle of the dinner hall, or you're going home halfway through the day because you've got all these stomach cramps and headaches, because obviously every time I ate, it gave me these symptoms, and no one really knew what to do with me. So going through primary school, I was the odd one out because I wasn't there a lot of the time. There was, everyone had their friends that they'd made, and I wasn't going to be around that much. So I was sort of very much on my own. And we had this head teacher that used to pick someone every 2 years, because the last class was, you were in it for 2 years because it was a joint class, and he would pick one person to use to keep the rest of the class in order. So he would mock me in front of the class, and everyone would laugh, and if someone didn't laugh, well, they were they were the target the next day. So people learned very quickly that they needed to laugh at me. So
Mm.
I always felt completely like I was the odd one out. I didn't really know how to socialize very well, because who would want to be my friend when there was all that going on with the
Mm.
teacher? It was a bit of a dangerous situation to be my friend, which led to a lot of confidence issues when I went up into secondary school. I didn't find it easy. Um, I'd had a lot of treatment by that point, and so my health was better, although I developed asthma. Um, but because I didn't have those solid friendships going up into secondary school, I was bullied a lot there by different children, which, knocked my confidence even more. Same happened with the first place of work I went to. And I just thought, what am I doing so wrong? Why am I always this person that seems to have a target on them for other people? So I sort of had to take a step back and do a little bit of self assessment, look
Mm.
within, because what I realized with all of these different situations that I'd been in, primary school, secondary school, my first job, there was only one thing that was the same in all of that, and that was me. So
Yes.
although I recognized that other people's behavior wasn't okay, I also had to look within and go, what what is going on here? So I'm a bit of a people watcher. I like people. I like to have a little look at them and see what's going on. So I was people watching, and I thought, do you know what? What I've spotted was that confident people seem to get on really well. So I thought, right, I am going to try and be one of those confident people. And I put a mask on every day. It was like literally before I got out of my car, I had to put this confidence mask on, and I had to pretend to be this person with all this confidence, and that I could say hello to people. And oh my God, it made such a difference. So my confidence over time did grow,
Mm.
which meant I became a little bit more ambitious.
Mm.
And I decided to retrain because I didn't do great at school, because it wasn't a great environment for me. So I decided to retrain. And at that point, um, I decided to be a counsellor. My friends were saying to me, you know, that I would make a great mediator. I'd helped friends out with their divorces by just sort of looking at the facts and, looking at how realistic the thoughts were. So I looked into that, and it was either law or
Mm.
counselling. And
Right.
with my experience in school, I was not going to go down the route of law. That was just not going to happen. So
Correct.
I'd always felt the odd one out, and like I was a bit of an imposter in my own life. I wanted to be invisible. And when I walked into my very first counselling course, the first day I walked in, I thought, oh my God, these people, I looked at them and they're all chatting away, and they seemed really intelligent and really bright. And I thought, they are going to find me out. They are going to find me out so fast. I am a fraud in this room, and they don't know it yet because they haven't spoken to me, but they're going to know it soon.
Mm.
And I sort of clung on to fake it till you make it,
Mm.
which isn't a term that I'm particularly fond of now,
Neither am
but it
I.
was then. Yeah, so that was the sort of start of it. And I did 4 years training as a counsellor because I wanted to be the best counsellor I could be. But actually, if I'm being honest with myself, there was also a bit of me that didn't really believe that I was worthy of getting that diploma the same as the other people in the room with me. But I also was aware that I had a natural flair.
Mm.
So it was difficult because they're opposites.
I love the honesty, and that's why I picked you. And it's like we all have these moments. And anybody who's watching, please let me know if you can hear me clearly. I think my voice is a little dim, so I'm just going to hold on to the mic and speak into it, quite literally into it. So let me know. You said you picked the longest course, the one that gave you the biggest confidence. You're talking about fake it till you make it, and you're not proud of it now. And yes, even I don't believe in fake it till you make it. But we all go through this. We all go through moments. We all go through moments where, we feel like, what's going on? We feel like, is it really, am I really the one achieving this, or did it happen to me by fluke? So how do you,
Absolutely.
address, or how do you help people who have got that, who find themselves in that situation, maybe on a cloudy day, or maybe on a regular basis?
So I would say the main thing I do is I sit with people and I hear them and I feel where their pain is coming from, and I support them to make steps forward in a way that's manageable for them. Because I can sit here and say, you need to do this, 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 and this, and this, which is great because I have the knowledge. I know what, what things would help people, but it's not my path to walk. So what I'm doing is I'm helping them find, I might come up with a suggestion, and I can tell by their body language whether it's good for them or not. And if it's not, instead of just going along with it, because for me that's not ethical, I will say, okay, I just spotted that your body tensed or that you sort of looked away. Tell me about that. Let's check that out. What is it so that's my suggestion. What is it that you think would work for you? Because it's everyone's individual and they need to find what's right for them on the given subject that we're talking about. And that's what's really important, is I'm stood there with them, but they're doing the really hard work, because it is hard work to beat imposter syndrome. If the balance is really skewed, it's going to take them time to move on, to get through that. It's not just I've got a magic wand, I can say do this, do that, and it's going to be done. We need to really look at things. So, for example, if I've got a perfectionist, we might set some little goals going forward on how to practice responding to failure. Maybe not getting something perfect, and how do we feel, and is that okay? Because actually, perfection is a myth. So perfectionists are setting themselves up for failure every day, but how can we respond to it in a healthy way? And we'd use little tools to do that.
True. So we have a question from Rohit, and guys, let me know if you can hear me. I've just dumped these. So you improvise. It's your show.
Absolutely.
So, what was your biggest challenge in overcoming the situation? So, situation at school, situation studying, situation at work. What was your biggest challenge in overcoming the situation?
Okay, Roa, I can absolutely tell you 100% the biggest challenge in overcoming it was me. Because I had to be brave. I had to become a bit more resilient. I had to put myself in situations that were really uncomfortable for me. So, I mean, I remember the first day that I went to that job, when I decided that confidence was going to be my thing. I was going to pretend the heck out of confidence, but I hid in the loo to start off with. So I made this decision and I was ready to do it, and I was hid in the loo. But I heard the bell ring for the first day. I was like, right, deep breath, here I go, smile on, and speak to as many people as you can walking through. Hi, how are you? Nice to meet you. I'm Lynette. You know, I was the biggest thing in my way, because at the start, you don't really believe that you can be confident or that you're not a fraud. So you have to put the effort in, you have to put the work in, you have to move yourself out of the way to be able to move forward. That was a great question. I hope I answered it well enough.
Thank you. Oh, yes, you did. So, Lynette, tell me what exactly is imposter syndrome? So, well, a lot of us are watching here. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in on the live, and also for those of you who will catch up on the replay. But maybe you're here by chance and you don't really know what imposter syndrome is all about. So tell me, what is imposter syndrome from a coach's perspective?
Okay,
Educate us.
so it is when an individual struggles with feeling insecure and like a fraud for gaining attention for either their work, for the things that they've done, the skills that they have. Because when you have imposter syndrome, you genuinely do not feel like you deserve that praise or you deserve that time from someone. You don't feel like you deserve to be in the same place as other people who have got all these mad skills around you. You know, you look at your colleagues and you think, oh my God, they're amazing. Well, you're amazing too, but those with imposter syndrome tend to believe they don't deserve praise. And they do deserve it in the same way as their colleagues do. And it's a basic feeling of inadequacy, really. They can become very overwhelmed when you've got imposter syndrome. Self-doubt creeps in. If I was just describing it to a layperson, I would keep it really quite nice and short. And I would say it's a basic feeling of fraud and inadequacy.
Hmm.
You know,
And
you
speaking of praise, you have definitely summed it up very well. Rohit says, perfectly summed up. Yes, you did. You
brilliant.
had
Thank you.
you did it well. So yes, you did, and he wishes you more success. So thank you, Rohit, for that amazing question.
Thank you.
I'm sure it helped a lot of people. Wonderful. We have one more question coming in from a coach I respect. He says, "Is this syndrome because we judge ourselves negatively?"
Well, there are different reasons that people suffer with imposter syndrome. One of them is comparing ourselves to others, which tends to lead to our own judgment of us. So we've got that inner critical voice that we're going in and that's telling us we're not good enough, we're not as good as them, we don't deserve that. Everyone else is in there and they're amazing, but we're not. And what I often find with my clients who have imposter syndrome is they are so mean to them, but they're so kind to other people. And that's because they are such harsh critics on themselves. But they wouldn't, if say you did a piece of work with someone and you did not feel it was very good, you're judging probably your bit in it, but you're praising the other person. Well, actually, you probably did it together. And if it's not good for you, then it wouldn't be good for them. So if it's good for them, it's good for you. So yes, judgment can absolutely come into imposter syndrome. I mean, we all have some judgment, but I always talk about balance, and it's when it gets into the extreme that it becomes a problem.
True. And that very beautifully segues us into what Ashtar says. She says, so is it being adequate but not feeling so, and feeling guilty about being who we are?
So when you've got imposter syndrome, you are really often very good at what you do, but you do not recognize it. So you're probably much more than adequate in the eyes of your colleagues and friends and family. It's just that you don't feel that you are. So if we ask 10 people in the room, what are my skills, they're all going to come out with these things that are going to really astound me, or they would have done. But if I was taking myself back into when I was on the wrong balance of imposter syndrome, then I definitely wouldn't have felt like I had any skills. And And it was interesting because when I came to the end of my counselling course, everyone thought that I would be the best counsellor in the room, which was absolutely astounding to me from that day that I walked in to the day that I left. That was crazy because what? I missed the second part of the question. What was the second part of the question?
The second part was feeling guilty about being who we are.
Okay. I would say probably not about who we are, but maybe about that we're there. Because sometimes when we've got imposter syndrome, we can feel like we are not, we are taking the place of someone else. We feel like the interviewers have made a mistake. There was a computer error that put us in place, which means that we've just stolen someone else's place in that organization and that job because we've somehow swindled it. And we absolutely haven't swindled it. We're there because we're meant to be there, because we earned our place, because we worked hard for it.
So let me share with you something that happened with
Oh,
me. So 2016, I got invited. I got selected, not invited. I got selected to speak at the Women's Economic Forum, and this happens in New Delhi, and it's a big event. With 1,200 plus women coming together, women speakers, entrepreneurs, business women, thought leaders coming together. And at that point, I was just someone, and look at me saying just someone,
I heard that.
who, yeah. So I was just someone who was a writer. I was someone who was a freelance writer with a newspaper, and I was just beginning my journey as a public speaker. I knew I had lots of stories to share, but I really didn't feel adequate enough. And if I went through the brochure of events, I would see, accomplishments of everybody else, but I failed to notice that I had a story too. I failed to notice that I had done so many roles in the media industry. I was a successful mom. I was delivering value as a writer, as a storyteller. And I attended, and my main session was about gratitude, and I presented. And then right after that, every time I would get the opportunity, people who had listened to me the first time would follow me around. That At that event, I spoke 4 different sessions, and all the 4 sessions, I had a lady following me around because she loved how I spoke. I would start out by saying, my affair with words started when I was little and I used to write poetry, and I don't do it anymore. So she got fed up, and she finally, in the right at the last session, she said, my dear, you don't write poetry anymore because now you speak it.
Oh,
And that was for me a realization that, okay, she makes sense, perhaps. Perhaps.
perhaps.
Yeah.
Just
But
perhaps.
perhaps just in case, maybe I'm good, but how we kind of beat ourselves down. I'd pass my card around, and my card reads wordsmith. So people would look at my card and go, what's a wordsmith? Everything about me in that conference was a conversation starter. Yet I was hiding under this whole thing of, I'm not a businesswoman. I am not an entrepreneur. I'm not, I don't have awards to my name. Beating yourself down, quite literally.
Sometimes I
Why?
wish that we could see ourselves through the eyes of others, because in
I
those
know.
rooms, they would have been seeing you as this businesswoman who knew her stuff and was successful. And it sometimes we don't see it. Oh,
And an event that really changed the course of my life, because I started out with a simple, humble session on gratitude, and then those people kept the people who followed me around kept growing, and that was good for me
yeah.
because that gave me confidence. And I began to tell stories. I began to be known as a storyteller. In fact, I've hosted quite a few of people from the Economic Forum on the show as well, in the last year. So yeah, it's life
It,
changing when you are open to receive what people are giving you. Um,
yeah.
I think it's beautiful.
And when we have that light bulb moment that we started to see us, in the light that other people see us. That is just incredible. It's an amazing moment. And, we'll all get there. We
We
will
will.
all get there.
We will all get there. So we have another question. Rohit says, how to get over and cope with a sense of failure? Any quick suggestions, Lynette?
Okay, so fail. First attempt at learning. First attempt in learning. Fail. There we go. The, you only fail if you don't give it a go. If you don't put yourself out there and you don't try, that's the only time you fail, because no matter what we do, as long as we're moving one foot in front of the other and we're moving forward on our path, we are learning, and everything we learn will help us in the next stage, in the next step, because we've now got that extra knowledge. We know that didn't go quite right, so now we can use that information and we can adjust and we can adapt. So just remember that fail. First attempt in learning.
Hmm. So can somebody write that down, please? First attempt in learning, fail.
Yeah.
So one of the coaches I worked with says, fail forward, fail fast, and fail frequently.
Oh,
That,
yes.
yeah. So fail forward, fail fast, and fail frequently, because the more you do that, the more you have that attempt, and you have that you begin to build that strength to stand up again.
Absolutely. And you, instead of using it to beat yourself up, use it to push yourself forward. You know, feeling guilt or shame doesn't help us. Let it go. But put it in a helium balloon and imagine it going off up into the sky. But what we want to do is hold on to those positives. So what is positive is we tried. What is positive is we did something we weren't sure about and we gave it our all. What are the positives in that situation? It might be that we've now found someone who will help us because they saw us fall over. Someone's going to pick you up. Look around you. Who's there to support you?
And that beautifully takes me to my question to you. Who was there to pick you up on the days you fell?
Oh, there's been some very strong women in my life that have helped move me forward. I went to a job interview to be a family support worker. It was an intensive intervention advisor, and I was going to be working specifically with men. And the last thing I said at the end of the interview was, I really want this, I'll work hard. Well, I got the job, and then I didn't actually know how quite to do the job. So it was a bit of a sink and swim. And I had this wonderful manager who was just positive and kept coming back to me and just pointing out all the things that I was doing really well. So there was my karate instructor who taught me about my own confidence and my own body and my own space and how to follow my gut feeling if someone's in there that I don't want in my space, and how to remove them. And I do that with the clients I work with. I don't remove them, but I only work with people that my energy fits well with, because if we're not a good fit, then I'm wasting their time. We need to work really well together. They're going to need to trust me. So we have to be a good fit. And obviously there's my family, there's my husband and my children, they hold me up every single day. But yeah, there's some good women in my background that have helped shape my confidence levels and my knowledge of me in there.
Awesome. We have another acronym for fail. Kanen
Oh,
says, for me, it is forever acquiring important lessons. So, yes, I love
I
that too.
love that.
That is
That's
amazing.
amazing.
We're
Ever
so in
inquiring.
sync.
I'm learning now. I love that. I feel like, I haven't got my phone on, but I would like to take a screenshot of that. I'm gonna have to watch this back later so that I can I can
Yes,
capture it.
it is awesome. It's and isn't and from there, what I'd like to say is, isn't it beautiful how it was just one word, yet each one of us has a different way of looking at it?
Absolutely. Perspective is an amazing thing. It really is. Just shuffle over a little bit and you'll be able to see it from a different view. Have a
Absolutely.
conversation, you'll get more information. You can then, it builds a bigger picture.
And Rohit says failure leads to success.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because we've learned. When we're learning, we're moving closer to our own successes. So, absolutely. What is failure if we're using it to learn? It's great.
It's great. It's another way of looking at success, right? It's just success and progress.
Absolutely. Our thoughts are so key in this because we can either look at failure as, we can take on the guilt and the shame and we can tell ourselves that we're rubbish and that we were never going to do it. So why did we even bother? Or we can tell ourselves, okay, so I know that doesn't work. So now I've got to try something different, which means I'm inquisitive. I can't find the words, but determined, that's it. Determined, so it's all about those thoughts that obviously impact our feelings and our behaviors, which can either mean we're going to have a great day or we're going to have a rubbish day. And we get to choose that. We get to choose which thoughts we keep that will impact the rest.
Absolutely. And I love what you said about walking in with a smile. And you quite obviously know I'm known as the
You
smile
smile.
strategist. So I had to pick on that word because you said it. Um, so a smile, what does a smile do for people from your perspective?
Okay, so obviously we can shape our faces if we're being really conscious about it. And we can put a smile on that is fake. But if we've got a genuine smile, we can't be tense. It relaxes the whole body, it opens up conversation, it opens up communication. Even if we're not speaking, that smile will build a relationship with someone. A smile is so important, or just eye contact, whatever works for you, open body language, whatever way that you communicate with your body without using words is going to be a way to connect with others. And, as humans, we're not generally like to be on our own 24/7, 74 years. There's we like the little interactions, and so I think for me, a smile means that I'm relaxed, I'm happy, which means I'm open for conversation, I'm open to chat, I'm open to learn, I'm open to share. So a smile for me is a hello.
I love that. A smile is a hello. Oh, yes, it is. Um, you know why I'm laughing? Because by now, I've on my daily videos, when I go on my daily videos, I say hello, hello. So my friends actually never just when on chat or even when you're sending me a message, they never say just a hello or a hi. It's always hello, hello. I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much. So a smile is definitely a hello. I like that. Thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
and as I speak to you, Lynette, it's like that little Lynette is inside of you. She's just cheering you on. And it's
Yeah.
you have a baby face, and it's not just the baby face, but it's just the smile, the genuinity, and the fact that um, I don't know, the imprint of childhood is so powerful for you that
Yes.
I see that little you even as the coach speaks. So hats
Yes.
off to you for keeping her in there. A lot of us have kind of lost connect with our inner child, and it's such a beautiful thing to still have her there.
It's so important because those are all she's all the things that shaped where I am today. She's why I'm going to say it, why I'm so good as a coach, because I'm going to own it. I am.
Yes,
Because she is in there with all of her experiences and she's not invisible anymore and she doesn't want to be.
thank you. So, would our listeners type in a yes for Lynette?
There we
Because
go.
yes, yay! Thank you so much. So, I've got another acronym from Pinan. He says,
Oh,
smile is sending magnificent inner loving energy. Thank you.
oh,
And
amazing.
yes, isn't it? So, and he is the first to say yes. There we go. We will keep those yeses coming, people. We want to hear more yeses for Coach Lynette. Let's do this. Thank you, Vidya. So, my acronym for SMILE is silence the mind, manage your attention, identify the intention, let things go, and energize the possibilities. So it all starts with just silencing out the the chatter that's going on in your mind,
Yeah.
figuring out what you're paying attention to, identifying why you're paying attention to that or why you're doing what you're doing, letting go of anything that doesn't serve you, and even forgiving when needed. I mean, forgiving non negotiably, and
Yeah.
energizing the possibilities, putting things into action. Super, super important.
Yeah. And when you were saying that, it reminded me of something that I used to do when I felt really quite awful about myself. And I used to sort of just close my eyes, breathe, and I think, okay. And I used to focus. This is going to sound a little bit odd, but I used to focus on my little toe. And I think I'd move it and I think, yep, that's okay. And then I'd think, right, okay, the rest of my toes, yep, they're okay. So everything is not wrong because they're okay. And then I've sort of scanned my body and think, actually, 95% of me is okay. It's just this thought that isn't okay. Okay, so we need to remove that. It was a way of helping me move through those judgments of myself in the moments where I might have felt quite down.
Hmm. I like that. Everything else about me is okay. It's just this thought that is not okay. And that is so lovely as an awareness to have, even in the midst of a, should I call it an attack, a panic attack, or, where you're
A
feeling
moment.
anxious. A moment. Okay, a moment. Okay, just call it a moment. Thank you. So, thank you, everyone. Hello, hello is your signature style. Thank you. More success and power to you. Thank you, Rohit. And thank you, Ashtar Tashi. Thank you so much, guys. And more yeses coming in for Coach Lynette. Thank you.
Thank you.
I've realized we are able to stick with our journey forward when we know why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's the intention that drives us. It's a very powerful, yes, it's a very powerful. Look at me, I'm reading Cindy's yes for you. It's a very powerful fuel. Your yes is a very powerful fuel moving forward. So, what was your reason to take this up as your area of focus?
Because there are so many people out there. I mean,
Mm,
the figures are being debated. Some people say it's 70%, other people say it's 82% on the figures of the amount of people that suffer with imposter syndrome. And that is not okay with me. It is not okay that there are that many people at a time in their life that are struggling with this. And this, although mental health has become less of a stigma, imposter syndrome hasn't. People are still frightened to talk about imposter syndrome and feeling like they're not good enough in their day-to-day lives. That is not okay with me. And I've got the passion, I've got the skills, and I want to be the person that stands side by side and helps walk someone out of that, because I know what it's like to be there. And it's too high a percentage for us to ignore. And there aren't that many people that deal solely with imposter syndrome.
yeah.
So this is crazy. I need to stand up. I need to do something about this. So that's what I did. That's my why.
I love that. And when you've been through it, you can walk with the person in empathy. It's
Absolutely.
And empathy is so powerful as compared to sympathy. Because
Oh, yes.
yeah, tell us a little about that.
Oh, there's a lovely Brené Brown video that's animated on YouTube, if you look, and it just shows empathy and sympathy in such wonderful way. Um, if I was being sympathetic and you said to me, "Oh, my plant died today. I overwatered it and my plant died." Me being sympathetic would be coming in and going, "Oh, yeah, my plant died. I gave mine too much water too. I feel bad about that." That's not gonna. You're like, "Oh, right. So it's all about you now, then, Lynette." But if I was empathizing, I go, "Okay, tell me. You're obviously affected by this. Tell me about it. Tell me what Tell me how you're feeling about that. I want to stand with you. I don't want to become the main person in that conversation because it's not about me." And that's what sympathy and versus empathy does.
Absolutely, and I love the video too, the one, the animated one. I just love it.
Yes.
I will share it on comments later on. Once we're done, we have Rohit, who says, "Do you think the pandemic has aggravated the problem of keeping a sound mental health while having imposter syndrome?" Great question.
This is a great question, and it's interesting, isn't it? Because we haven't had to walk in that office. We haven't had to face those people. We haven't had to go into the spaces where our colleagues are. We've been able to sort of stay at home in our own little unit. So, has for some people, it will have made it worse. Being on camera, their face and their sound being right there in front of people and having them in their home is going to feel quite intrusive if they don't want to be seen, if they feel like they're a fraud, because they can't just sit in the back of the meeting room and slink down in their chair and pretend they're not there. So it's obviously it's always individual. So there's going to be some scenarios that has made it easier because they haven't had to walk in and see everyone else's shining brilliance as they see it on a day-to-day basis. They just get snippets on the computer, but it also highlights that they're in the room and that they have a voice, which can be so overwhelming for people. So it's a mixed bag, really, Rohit. It really is.
Thank you. How and as you share that, what I also realize is kindness is so important, right? You have to be kind to yourself. And as you were sharing what you were, I realized what came to my mind earlier was of children. You don't meet a baby who gets up and tries to walk, and then falls down and then decides, "Oh, I've tried this so many times, I'm not going to walk, I'm just not a walker."
Yeah,
you know they don't give up.
they
they always
don't.
they don't. They do what it needs. They pull the stuff off the sofa. They might pull down the drawing, the dinner tablecloth. They do whatever needs to be done to find the support to just stand up and start working, because that's how nature works. That's how the universe has made us to be resilient.
Yeah,
Now, having said that, when we cross a particular age, we stop being so resilient. We stop being kind to ourselves. We stop giving ourselves second chances. And I feel a bit of that also kind of weeps into imposter syndrome, where
yeah,
possibly, right? So, what's the
yeah. I think it
connection
does.
between the two, kindness and imposter, if you see any?
So when you were talking about that, I was thinking, at a certain age, children want to shine as bright as their siblings, or when they join primary school, they've not just got their parents in the room with them, they've got 30 other children, and they're trying to find their place in that. And sometimes we can, as parents, we can cheer our children on so much that they've got that pressure to be the best, to be the funniest, to be the smartest in the room, which quite often children will then try and pull someone else down. If you see two toddlers walking, they'll grab the other one to push themselves up. And when we learn that, and when people praise us for that,
Or
and then we
even
get
laugh
to a
at
certain,
us.
yes, and then we get to a certain age where that's not okay anymore. And then what do we do with that? We've lived this life where people are pushing us to behave in this certain way, and now they're telling us, no, you're too old for that. It's no longer cute. And then we've got to relearn who we are and what's okay in society and what's okay in our family. So it's really very confusing. And I love this quote: you can never shine brighter by dimming someone else's light. You just can't.
Okay. Hmm.
Put their light up. Let's get the positivity out there for everyone around us.
And do it for yourself, and do it for
Yeah.
yourself, and not to show anybody else. I mean, just do it because you're worth it, and I'm
We
sure you
look
are.
Yeah, we look for validation in all the wrong places. We wait for everyone to tell us who we are, what our thoughts are. We've got all this stuff coming in from social media, from friends, from family, from workplaces, from people we're walking past in the park. Everyone's got a view and a judgment. Well, really, the only person that we need to validate us is us. Self-love. Let's start there.
And I love that you said self love. Earlier today, I was listening to this amazing conversation on self love, and definitely a powerful conversation, and so important. Self love, absolutely a non
Yeah.
negotiable. And there should be no guilt around self love, I feel.
Yeah.
We've got a question from Vidya. She says, often children face bullying and comparison, be it school, neighborhoods, or even within family. So, how do parents deal with this and work with their children? Thank you, Vidya.
Okay. So I don't know whether you realise, but I done a lot of years in family support. So it sort of spans over both areas of my knowledge. And I guess what we can do is we can help children understand what is going on for that other child. And once we can help understand that, there's this lovely iceberg that model that is out there, and what we see above the waterline is, it might be bullying, it might be hitting, kicking, punching, spitting, but what's going on underneath? Because these children are not doing it to your child because they are feeling great about themselves. They are doing it because they're trying to find some sort of control in their life. So okay, we still need to deal with it, but let's come at it from rather a place of anger, but a place of love. Let's step forward. We're going to speak to the school. We're going to see what can we do for that young person that is doing the bullying, that means they no longer feel so bad that they have to bully your child. And what can we help your child learn and understand from this, and learn about themselves and what is okay in their opinion to take? What have they soaked in from that isn't theirs?
Hmm.
If you've got a child going, oh, you're ugly, okay, before they said that to you, how did you feel? What did you think of yourself? What have I told you since the day you were born? So I've told you a million times you're beautiful. This person's told you twice you're ugly. Do you think are you going to keep hold of? Which one you keep hold of? Which one do you want? You choose. And let's just say, no, I'm not ugly. Thank you. Goodbye. I hope that helped.
Yes, it definitely did. And we've got Rohit who says, you are a reservoir of positivity. There you go.
Yep.
Thank you.
Guilty as charged. I'll take that.
Yes, you are. So, Lynette, we know that we have that age where, the children are soaking it all in like a sponge, and
Yeah.
anything and everything that comes their way, they are adapting as their own. So, how do you keep an eye out as a parent? What could be the flags, the warning flags that something's not quite right with my child? Because I'm all about fixing it when it's still relatively manageable? Why wait until you're old and kind of, so what can you do as parents to watch out for those warning flags?
Spot the differences in your child to start off with. If they're a really bubbly, bright, loud child and they've suddenly gone very quiet, something's going on for them. And if it's the other way round, they're normally really quiet, they're normally really well behaved, and suddenly they're acting out, something's going on for them. It's finding out what is going on beneath those behaviors and reinforcing as much positive as you can behind that. Spotting the little things that they're doing well and just noticing it to them, thanking them, giving them choice. Because if there's an area in their life where they feel like they're completely out of control, then let's give them some choice. It might be just saying, they don't want to wear their coat and it's raining outside. So instead of arguing over putting their coat on or not, we say, okay, there's 2 coats. Which one would you prefer to wear? So we're giving them a choice.
The
We're
illusion
not.
of choice.
Yes, absolutely. So they're making a choice, and we're also making sure that they get to school without being soaking wet and ending up ill. Because as a parent, we don't argue with children because we want them to do what we want to do. It's normally there's a reason behind that. So let's explain that reason behind that. And let's build them up as much as we possibly can so that they know that they've got a secure network, because life isn't all, roses all the time, and there's going to be challenges. But if they've got that person that cares about them and is willing to spot the changes and invest in them, they're going to trust you. They're going to come to you. They're going to open up about what's going on.
So one of the ways I earlier on developed a pact with my children was, you can come and speak to me about anything, and if it is something that you require for me to take off my mummy hat, let me know in advance. So it's like a disclaimer where they know the doors are open for any conversation, and he or she will walk in and say, "Okay, I want mummy mode switched off now." And that's when I know that, okay, I talk to you as a friend, so come, let's have a conversation, and I love that. I love that about it. And in fact, even me, I go to them and I say, hey, listen, I need to speak to you, but don't judge me. So they say, yeah, go on, tell me what's up. And it's so beautiful that I can speak to my kids like that. I just love that. So
Yeah.
makes a
Before we
difference.
react, stop, think, and plan. Because if we're seeing something that's going on that isn't okay and it's not what our child would normally do, let's not just shout at them because they zero us out completely. Let's think about it and put a plan into action. So if they're jumping, maybe we need to ask them to jump and count the leaves on the tree rather than jumping on our sofa. Just put a bit of a plan in place so that they can still do what they need to do with their body, but we also don't get our houses trashed. I love that we've gone from imposter syndrome to parenting. I don't know how we got there, but it's great.
Definitely great. And I think our listeners are enjoying it. And I've got a little one listening. My daughter is actually listening. And the minute I said that, she writes in saying, it still works. So thank you.
Take off that mummy hat.
Yes, take off that mummy hat. It works. It still works. Let's just say it that way. So, and definitely our viewers seem to be enjoying this. Rohit says, I'm glad you accepted the honor, Lynette. And we've got Vidya. We've got 2 questions. We're kind
Okay.
of short of time. Are you okay to kind of push it a little
Yeah,
further than an hour? Okay.
let's keep going.
All right. So Vidya says, what kind of advice should be given to the kid that bullies, and how does he get corrected?
Okay, so we look at what he's doing. If we're saying he, okay, what's he doing? What's he
They.
getting
Let's
out of it?
generalize.
Yeah, they.
Let's
Was it
generalize
he?
it.
In oh no,
So
yes.
she
How
wrote
does he get
he.
corrected? That's why
Yeah, but let's generalize.
let's generalize they. So what are they getting out of bullying?
Hmm.
What is it that they are receiving by doing that behavior? Is it attention from an adult? If it's attention from an adult, let's give them the attention and the positivity before. let's find a way to give it to them outside of that. If they're misbehaving, then we don't give them the attention. We have to help teach them and help them grow. So if they're saying something and they've made someone cry, it's okay, do you remember a time when someone says something to you and you cried? How does that feel? So how do you think that person's feeling? Let's work it through with them. It's really easy to just go to a place of anger, but that isn't going to help them learn. What we need is to help them learn and grow so that they know they're connecting with their own emotions, and they then know what they're doing to that person. Do you think that person would have felt like you felt on that day if you hadn't have said those words? And where do those words come from? Is your heart hurting? Is your belly upset? What, tell me about that. I hope that helps give a little bit of indication just to stop and think and try and get to the root causes. Because if we can get someone to connect with their emotions, whether they're an adult or a child, and then they can see and they've got that feeling themselves, that is when they can step into the other person's shoes rather than being in their shoes, that they feel like there are no other choices but to hurt other people in this way. And we've, as adults, we've got to step back and we've got to be the ones that help them grow around that.
True. And I think very often children resort to bullying when they need they need to be loved the most. It's a cry for attention. And I work a lot with high school students who've just started university, and there's always that one bully in the workshop who rags even the trainer, and and I enjoy that because that just gives me a clear indication he's the one who hasn't been heard at home, or he's the one who is probably the most quiet at home or among his people. So to just walk up to that person and with compassion ask him, would you like to be heard? Is there something that you need to say? It just kind of suddenly you can see that little person inside of them, and they're a different person altogether in the rest of the training.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yeah, once someone's been heard, it's very powerful.
Absolutely. Okay, so we are going to now address the last question, which I think sums up a lot of things for us. Kunen asks, what's the best way to overcome imposter syndrome? Is it really challenging to build the sense of entitlement and work through the resistance? How do you help as a coach? I'm going to leave that question on so that you can see it.
Thank you very much, because there's three parts to it, and I've actually got chronic fatigue syndrome, so my memory isn't as great as it used to be. So this helps me work through that. So, okay, there's the best way to overcome imposter syndrome is to take it out of the dark and put it in the light. So it's talk about it, work it through. Where does it come from? How is it impacting, and how would you like it to be? Let's move this from the dark, and like we have with mental health, let's move it into the light and discuss it and see if there are ways that we can work with it. So it might be holding on to praise, practice setting realistic goals, defining what success means to you, because success for everyone is very different. Not comparing ourselves to others. We only walk in our shoes. We can't compare ourselves to anyone else because they haven't been on our journey. So we need to stand in our own power. And
we haven't been on theirs.
So absolutely.
What we can see is only what they're showing us on the outside. We really don't know. Like the what you spoke about, the iceberg, what you're seeing on the top is just what you're seeing on the top, but there's so much more going on at the bottom. So go ahead. The next part.
The next part. I mean, with imposter syndrome, there isn't a massive self-entitlement sense. It's maybe the other way around, that because they don't feel like they're worthy. A lot of people feel like a fraud, so it's not like they feel like they're entitled to it. In fact, they're pushing it away from them. They're moving it backwards, but there is a lot of resistance. to that change because we're comfortable in what we know. Even if what we know is not making us happy, it's making us really unhappy. But to change that is uncomfortable, and it takes work and it takes effort, and it means that you're going to have conversations with me that are difficult for you. So there is resilience, and obviously I'm challenging as a coach. I put lots of love, lots of positivity, but I also will challenge and work through every sentence. So when you said earlier, just, we might dive into, what does the word just mean to you? Because the way that I heard it sounds really negative. So, what would you like to replace that with that gets you to where you want to be? It's always having a goal to focus on so you know where you're going. So it might be someone that says to me that they cannot take a compliment. Okay, so by the end of the work, what is it that your biggest goal is? It might be that they're able to take a compliment and see that their own value. So then we start working towards that, and we start pulling apart different parts of their life. And there's always lots of goal setting so that we're moving forward, so that it's not just in the session. So although I think, what was it, a reservoir of positivity, my clients don't always like me because I bring it. They're asking me to help them, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to step into that position and I'm going to walk with them, and it's not always an easy walk, but we will do it together. So it's going to be okay.
Yes. So, and as you were sharing that about compliments, so I've worked my way through a lot of my own inhibitions on, when receiving compliments, actually speaking up. There have been times on the show itself, and where, I've wanted the guest to have the entire limelight. I would feel a little awkward if suddenly the conversation shifted towards me. I would hold back from sharing. And I realized, hey, but come on, it's part of the conversation. It's called a conversation for a reason. And my sister, my soul sister Kosaji, when I shared my TEDx talk with her, she said, beta, I loved the talk, and my favorite part was on minute so and so. And me being me, obviously went to the link, and
Yeah.
yes, and I went and I said, hey, but she's saying it's on minute, for the sake of reference, suppose she said it was on minute 13.5 seconds. And I looked up the video and I said, hey, but my talk is only for 13 minutes 52 seconds. What does she mean the favorite part is just there? And I scrolled all the way exactly to that time stamp, and I realized that's where the applause was. And
Ah,
giving me goose flesh now as I share
yeah.
it, because she said her favorite part was the applause that the people gave me, the acknowledgement they gave me for my talk. And I said, wow, I didn't think of it, because it just, I might not have even heard it while I was on the stage, because I
What
was
I
just,
would like to know was, were you doing that inside to yourself at that point?
yes, that's what I'm
That's
saying.
the important bit for me, because then you're getting validation from you first and from everyone else second.
No, 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 no. That's what I'm.
Oh,
Oh, no, I wasn't listening. I thought you were
oh,
saying, were you also not listening on the inside? No, I wasn't. I was shutting out all the applause because I felt, oh, I
oh,
delivered my speech. I need to get off the stage. You know, uh,
right. So
it's
yeah, at that point, I would have loved if you were giving yourself the clap on the inside that you'd done that, because
yeah,
it would have, that would just be amazing. I mean, it sounds like you've got there now,
I
and that
have.
you're
I
able to
have.
look back, and that's the
I
important thing. We all go on our own journeys, and we all take different times to get to our destination. Someone else's timeline is not our timeline. I mean, I would have loved it if you'd have said that you managed to soak it all in that moment, and that you were holding your power, but you got there. And that
I
is the
got.
important thing. Is that was your timeline, not mine. And you know, there's definitely been times where I haven't applauded myself in that moment too. I feel like everyone here on this course we should all, just applaud ourselves now. We've all shown up, we've all interacted, we've joined in. So
Yes,
let's own the moment.
absolutely. So thank you so much for your time. And what would be your closing comments on the show tonight?
Um, just be you.
I like
Just be you. Because that is the most important person to be.
I'm just going to let that sink in. So powerful. So powerful. Thank you, Kunan.
Thank you. You're welcome. So much wisdom. I'm a wise woman now. So are you. We're wise women.
Appropriately titled name, isn't it? Wise Wednesdays with RK. So thank
Yeah.
you. I wouldn't have joked about this had it been another time in my life, but I am getting there. I am getting there step by step, taking that one step at a time. And I am so appreciative of everyone who has joined us on the live, stayed with us, and also for those of you who catch up on replay. I host amazing gems on my show week after week, and I run daily videos called Connecting the Thoughts on my platform. If you haven't subscribed already, do subscribe to the YouTube channel, because from there you can also share this video with anyone who needs to receive this message today. Because we all have, at some point in our life, considered, am I really worth receiving what I have received today in my life? So do share the message. And thank you for all the comments coming in. Ashtar, thank you for staying awake and watching right up until the end. Um, Applaud yourself, take a bow for the brilliance that you share so generously. Thank you. Keep shining. Srikant, thank you. And if anybody else would like to write in any more thanks and comments, please type them in as I share them with Lynette and everyone else. Thank you for the conversation. Independent of time zones, these conversations enlighten and ignite the curiosity to dig deep. Thank you so much, Srikant. That means so much. Vidya, taking with me one of the biggest advices from dear Lynette. Thanks a ton, Rooks, once again for a profound session indeed. Thank you, Cindy, for watching, and thank you, everybody else, as well. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody. Have a great rest of the day or evening, wherever you are. Thanks. Thank you.